Hey guys, what's going on? KSquared Cycling, Winvu Din here. We are here and have the pleasure of speaking with Michael Hernandez, current U.S. National Under 23 Crit Champion, wears the Stars and Stripes representing U.S. This format of interview is a little different for me. Typically I'm on the bike, however, Michael has come off a pretty hefty racing block. Recently in Europe, Tour Aziz, Tour 11 year, and then he came back stateside, did the Gateway Cup, and then recently won the Pinellas Park circuit race in the 1-2s, and then paired up with Masters racer Pablo Santa Cruz, and they won that. So, hey, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
Quite a crazy season.
Yeah, no, it's been a long one. Been pretty full gas since February. So
yeah, I think I looked at your results, or at least your race schedule, and I mean, you probably have about 40 days plus of racing.
Yeah, it's not uber amounts of racing that is the fatigue price, just the amount of time on the road, because it started off with team camp and all that, and then into Redlands. Came home for a little bit, then Joe Martin, and then doing Gila. You have to go out to altitude early, and when you have an altitude race, you're automatically putting more days on the road.
No doubt. Just to get there early, attempt to acclimate. You'll get the decline before you start to level off and hit homeostasis. So good. Well, hey, how did you get started in cycling?
I got started in cycling. My brother started swimming at the NTC. He was part of Fastlane, and through that, he got involved with PAL back in the day, Police Activities League, and he started doing triathlons through them, and I was playing football and baseball at the time, and at the time I was an overweight kid and decided I didn't want to be overweight anymore, so started going to his practices, running, swimming, and biking, and decided I didn't really care for swimming for a purpose, and running is just running. So the cycling kind of kicked off, and they had a cycling-oriented coach, Mark Marshall, who I still work with every now and then, and and then he kind of just took me under his wing with Nick Collins and a couple other guys, and we kind of just focused on the road side of things. So
Sure. Any other sports growing up? Did baseball?
Baseball, football were the two big ones. Baseball was definitely where I had most of the natural talent, I guess. And then I played soccer, basketball, things like that to try them out. But baseball, football were the two that really took over.
Did you say typical childhood upbringing?
Dad's a police officer, mom's a teacher, so it's been, it's pretty much storybook growing up.
Sure.
As there is.
Here in Claremont?
I lived in Claremont. Pretty much my whole life. I was born in Orlando, lived there a couple of years, but lived right off of Hancock for a while, and moved over to Lakeshore Drive.
And the community's changed dramatically.
Yeah, so much.
So your early career, you got into cycling. Tell me about you started at grassroots level and then worked your way up through progression. I know you were hot tubes and then I believe Chipotle development. So tell me about that progression.
I started on PAL and raced for them for about a year and a half, and then that team kind of was going away, I guess. The PAL program was going away, so fortunately at the time, Nick Collins, his dad was part of Orlando Road Club, and so we all kind of just migrated over to there and started a pretty good junior development team, where that's where I started working with Jim McConnell. He was my coach for 7 years, so even after ORC, so got to meet him and all the guys there. It was great because they had an older group of guys that I got to train with and ride with, older juniors and more experienced guys. So rode with them for a year, and then after nationals, I got contacted by Slipstream Craddock, which is the Chipotle. They have their U23 Chipotle team, and so got picked up by them for the 2012-2013 season. Rode for them for 2 years. After a ride at Nationals in 2013, I got in contact with Hot Tubes. And Hot Tubes was kind of where I think I made the most strides in my cycling career in terms of teamwork, leadership, just camaraderie. How my scope of cycling started to work better there. It's also where I started doing national team trips in 2014. And so finished off my junior career with them. And then 2016, first year under 23, I was on CCB for a year. And that team was under budgeted for, the caliber guys we had. We could have, I think, done a lot more in terms of the guys, but, we worked with what we had. And that team kept me in cycling for my first U23 year. And after that, Volo was started, and I've been on a Volo since, but this is my last year on a Volo, so aging out with the under 23s.
Speaking of a Volo, tell me about the dynamics. Whenever we see you guys, hear about you guys on some of the televised national races like Miller, Tour of Utah, or Colorado, you guys are always racing aggressive, but it seems like the camaraderie of you guys as teammates goes beyond just the bike.
Yeah, no, it's cool because most of those guys I've raced with either before or against for more or less my whole cycling career. So I know we know each other, we know how each other race. Like take Gage for example, we were in Hot Tubes together. I raced him back when I was on Slipstream, he was on Specialized. We've been teammates for almost my whole elite cycling career. So it's nice knowing that part, but also just like the mentality we have. Creed instilled this, the whole "Let's Go Champ" hashtag we use is it's kind of a like show me what you got type thing where the other teams might those guys might get paid more than us, they might be stronger than us, they might be whatever better than us, but we're gonna make them work for it.
Sure.
And they want to be the champ, we're gonna challenge the champ. So that's kind of where that came from. And then also just like the guys on the team, just like racing hard. And,
Sure.
Not waiting around for the race to come to them.
Yeah, I think every broadcast or any team that a Volo's racing in, you guys will always be mentioned in commentary as far as aggressiveness and lighting up the race and making things happen. So
yeah, we try to get up the road, and it's not just for we know if it comes down to a climb, there's probably going to be a guy that's going to be that might be better than our best climber. So it's getting tactical advantage is almost always there in having guys up the road, having there's always a chance the breakaway's going to stay away. There's always a chance that our climber climbs up to that guy and then he can help, and then he's not isolated anymore. So there's so many tactical advantages of having guys that race aggressive, but also knowing that they're racing aggressive and not just going out there just be out there. Sure. So there's always a purpose of it.
All right, so hey, we got a rapid fire round. Couple of quick, simple questions. First thing that pops up to your head. Cycling cap, yes or no?
No.
No. I have seen pictures of you with it, though.
I was forced to use a cycle. They were pushing that.
I think you were cooling down for a race or something, or warming up, or maybe a recovery ride or something.
Yeah, the off day when I was on the trainer.
Yep. What's the current book you're reading?
Thank You for My Service by Matt Best.
Okay. Music while you train?
Yes.
Okay. What songs are on your iPod?
A very big variety from rap to rock, EDM, just about everything.
Do you listen to podcasts?
I do.
What's your favorite?
Order of Man.
Okay. Do you like to nap?
I don't particularly.
Oh man.
Recently, yes, because I've been so
Fair enough. Favorite snacks?
That's hard. Ice cream. Does that count?
Flavor?
Mint chocolate chip.
All right. Publix makes a great
and Moose Tracks.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
However, I tried the Breyers Girl Scout mint chocolate. No. It's not as good as I would have thought.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. So if you like
thin mints are one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, for cookies.
Yeah.
Same here. Throw them in the freezer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's see. Favorite type of food?
Cuban food.
All right. Fair enough. Can't beat grandma's. Favorite cyclist current?
Cavendish. He's been my favorite cyclist since I started.
Favorite previous cyclist? Maybe old cyclist that's no longer cycling, or a legend or something.
I might get hate for this, but Lance. He opened a lot of doors for Americans. So
whether you love him or hate him, he created opportunity and awareness, no doubt. And you know what? For me, podcast wise, I like the move.
Yeah.
In the forward.
Yeah.
You know, and Brunel's now on board with that team there, and I think they create a good content. So, favorite superhero?
Oh man. Either Batman or Iron Man.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so that's rapid fire round there. Now, getting back to a little bit, say, more serious stuff. What roles has USA Cycling or opportunities has it provided for you?
USA, especially this year. I've been part of USA Cycling national team trip since 2014. And they've always given me a chance to go to Europe. Europe especially is the big one. Taking guys over to Europe is huge. Most teams don't have the budget to get there, or at least get there and have a sustainable program. So the fact that they have a whole base there is amazing. So yeah, I mean, I've been to Switzerland with them, been to Canada, Belgium, raced a bunch. This year with California, that was an amazing experience.
Riding with Pro Tour guys at nearly the highest level.
Yeah, there's no trip I've been on that's been that just overwhelmingly holy crap, I'm in this right now. And then you
had some good results.
Yeah, being able to actually race and be part of the conversation was cool, and then having McCabe there second on day one was
correct.
We couldn't have asked, we did not go in with expectations of that, but it was cool to be there, and then from there on is Alec, or that first day Tyler got the Young Rider jersey, then Alex gets the KLM jersey, and then I got the Most Courageous, and then it was just kind of we were always kind of in the talk, and USA Cycling wore every jersey except yellow at that race, so that was pretty cool for us to go in and punch above the expectation, maybe not above the weight, but above expectation for sure. So that, and then Avenir this year was those were the two races I wanted to do. I told myself I want to do those two races before I'm out of bike racing, which I don't know when that is going to be, but I wanted to make sure that those were the two, and so I didn't know I was going to get to do either of those this year, and so the fact that I got to do both was really cool.
Sure. Do you feel they're still going to be a part of your career? Or are they mainly focused in development and U23?
Their main focus is development, but with California, and I know they're trying to expand, those kinds of races, maybe do some other in U.S. stuff as the national team. They might reach out, we had Miguel Bryan, Keegan Swerble, McCabe that aren't U23s, and Sam Boardman, so they're not totally focused on only the under 23s, but if they need, those guys definitely get, we got priority, and then if they need extra guys, I
developing
think
the future.
Exactly, I can still be in that talk, because
mentorship or whatnot for the future.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Greatest achievement, win or otherwise?
Personally, my national championship is my proudest thing that I've done in bike racing. It's something that Frankie Andrea told me afterwards. He's like, this is something nobody can ever take away from you in terms of you're always going to be a national champion. So that's my highlight, I guess.
And what's crazy is a week later, so that was the U23. A week later, you raced the Pro. Mm-hmm. Crit and placed 8th, so
yeah. I got 4th the year before, so going backwards on that one.
So would you say that's one of your strengths, not necessarily crit racing, but tactically placing yourself, and I think you consider yourself a sprinter?
Yeah, I mean, crit racing I definitely consider a strength just because of my skill ability is knowing where to be, when to be there, things like that. But I don't pigeonhole myself to crit racer, but I also don't shy away from it. I enjoy crits. I like doing them. But no, it's definitely helps, you know, the mental side of it, of just knowing. And then I tell people all the time, like, compared to guys like McCabe, Justin Williams, I don't have the same kind of power sprint they do, but because of my positioning ability and just, you know, knowing where to be, things like that, and the kind of jump I have, I can, you know, be there and sometimes, you know, pull the result out. So
what is the biggest opportunity for you to improve on as being a cyclist?
If I became a better climber, I think I'd get a lot farther in bike racing.
Fair enough. Let's see, favorite domestic race? Whether you raced it yourself or maybe it still exists, maybe it doesn't exist. But I mean, obviously, the opportunity that Tour California gave you.
California, if you consider that a domestic race, for sure. If not, Tulsa Tough.
Okay.
If you take California out of it, Tulsa Tough is if you ever get the chance to go to Tulsa Tough for those 3 days, it's the most fun bike race of the year.
What's your favorite international race?
Oof. Avenir was pretty cool. I gotta say as a whole, that race was pretty cool. But I did do a small stage race down in the Bahamas a couple years ago, and that might have been the most fun because you're in the Bahamas race.
Fair enough. I mean, it's unfortunate to think, having been there, the devastation that they've sustained.
Yeah, I had an old sponsor from Hot Tubes who lives down there. That's why we went down for the race, and just watching he lives in Nassau, so they didn't get the terrible end of it, but still just like, you know, he's gone and helped with all the relief work, and it's terrible to see.
What's a race that you have not completed or competed in that you would like to?
Not competed in the World Championships.
Okay.
You know, at any level was a goal of mine to always reach, and I've been the alternate twice. So not doing that is a little hard, but I've gotten to do so many other races throughout the year that I'm not so bummed about it.
Sure,
Yeah.
No doubt. Let's see. Goals for next season?
Goals for next year are kind of unsure, depending on team-wise. So I guess that's the goal for next year, is to get a team. But I'm not really sure where cycling's going to lay. If I'm not pursuing the European pro path of, like, you know, pushing to get to the world tour and all that stuff, school is definitely going to be a bigger part of my year next year. You know, I'm taking a full course load almost this year, and just focusing on, you know, still being in bike racing, impacting where I can. If that's the crit scene, it's the crit scene. You know, I think there's a bunch of guys doing the crit scene right now, where they're embracing it and not just saying, oh, well, we're just doing crits now. And still doing, you know, the domestic stuff. So, you know, Joe Martin and Redlands, all that stuff. I still want to, you know, be in those races and, you know, be a factor in those races, because there is always the chance you do well in those, you move back up. So
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Criminal justice.
Influence from your dad?
My dad and my uncles, they're both I have an uncle that's a captain in Orange County.
Okay.
And both my mom's brothers are cops also.
Gotcha. How do you get in the mindset or the mental zone when you're racing? You know, as long as I've known you, I know confidence has been a big thing. And I think what's interesting with Michael Creed and Avolo's mentality just kind of goes right in line with you as far as taking opportunities, making opportunities. But what do you do to get in the zone? Again, you've had significant number of race days this season, and then just looking at the past seasons as well. So
No, I mean, I don't have a pre-race ritual per se. I'm not a huge guy in warming up. I know a lot of people have to get on the trainer and go. I don't do that ever. You know, I usually use, say in a crit, for example, I use the first couple laps to warm up. Whether if I get a call up, I start on the front. If not, I start last wheel and use my warm up as getting to the front. So no, I mean, I don't have a pre-race ritual, but I do just when it's race time. I don't know if it's just because I've been in sports my whole life. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, I guess,
Sure.
off the bike. But once we start racing, that kind of all goes away, and I just get not tunnel vision because you got to be pretty aware in bike racing, but yeah, I just flip the switch and it just goes to
Game time.
Yeah, Jim McConnell, my old coach, used to tell me like I get angry. Part of it is it's the competition in me, but competitiveness. But I do see myself just getting more aggressive in mannerisms and things like that. So I guess a part of it is I do use it as a let loose for anger and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. Recovery routine.
Recovery is very important in bike racing. I found out this year with these big races.
Back to back, very hard days.
Yeah, California especially. You're just on we did 4 days in a row that were all 6+ hours, so 24 hours in 4 days was a new riding for me. So I'm a big fan of stretching after hot shower and then stretch to keep the muscles open. You don't cause any damage. I do a lot of sitting with my legs up on a wall. If you have them, Normatex or some kind of boots to help with that. Massage during races is huge.
Nutrition
in a race, it's a lot of carbs. You just carb loading as much as you can. Outside of it, it's so after races, you try to get some carbs and then protein to build up the muscles again. But yeah, you just eat as much. In California, like we literally ate whatever we wanted as long as we were eating enough. Like just eat a lot.
No doubt. What's a guilty pleasure after an accomplishment or say an epic training ride?
Ice cream. Yeah, ice cream.
What's your record of taking down a ton of ice cream?
Time-wise or amount?
Time-wise.
Time-wise, I could probably eat a good old tub in like half an hour if you challenge me to it.
What's something most people don't know about you?
I don't know if most people know this anymore, but I'm a big gun enthusiast. I go shooting a lot. It's kind of a hobby I picked up a little bit before I turned 21, but then once I turned 21, it became a lot easier to enjoy that hobby.
They have a few gun ranges around here. Yeah. There's a machine gun.
Yeah,
place.
Machine Gun America. I think I haven't been there yet.
I see the billboards off the turnpike.
They just opened up a couple months ago, I think. So I gotta go there.
And then there's like a ski shooting club around there too. I think.
I haven't been there. My brother has his best friend from high school. They have a range.
Okay.
They live out on 33, so out in the woods, and I go out there a lot and couple of the indoor ranges too.
Cool. Given how you've progressed through your career, what advice would you give for young bike racers, bike riders getting into it, looking to pursue it, whether it's just at a local level or even going beyond that? What would you say?
At an elite level, I'll start with that. You have to want it for yourself. I see a lot of kids who are in this because their parents make them or want them. And that always pushes them away from the sport because the minute it gets hard and the parent starts yelling at their kid that, why didn't you do this? It just doesn't work.
Intrinsic drive.
Yeah, I tell people I'm fortunate. My parents were not cyclists. I'm one of the only people that on my team that I know that parents do not ride. And I find myself fortunate for that because I would not still be in bike racing if I had to listen to my dad tell me why I did poorly. I get hard on myself when I do poorly. I don't need somebody else to do it. So I think that's a huge thing. You have to want it for yourself and for the right reasons, not just because your parents want you in it or somebody else wants you in it.
Sure.
At a local level, and especially starting out young or even just starting out, consistency. Just get out and ride. Get out and sweat. It's very you just have to get out there, do the ride. Don't overdo it. Right away. It's like anything, you can cause injury and everything like that. But in kids, I see them. Just get out and ride. You don't need a coach like when you first start bike racing or bike riding. When you want to get into the more elite riding, then get a coach, get some structure. I personally love group rides. We live in probably one of the best places for group rides in the country. I've been to a lot of places that have, you know, they had great riding, but only like 4-man group rides. And so the fact that you can get out and do Windermere on Sundays, Lakemont Saturdays, Windermere Wednesdays, like we have a group ride almost every day of the week, and get out and do that, learn from other people, take the constructive criticism. Some guys in Orlando will yell at you if you're new, but just take it and, you know, learn from it. I was there once. I try not to yell on group rides because I understand that there's a wide variety of skill level, but yeah, no, getting out, getting with people that are better than you and things like that is definitely a way to go.
Any special recognition in your development as a person and or an athlete as well?
All my coaches that I've had over the years is huge. You know, starting out with Mark Marshall, he got me into the sport. He still is my sprint coach. He teaches, you know, still learning from him, you know, 10 years later. So Mark Marshall, Jim McConnell, he dedicated time and money that I can't believe to me, that I'm forever grateful, and again would not be in here. Toby Stan with Hot Tubes, he gave me, like I said, he kind of put me on the path and showed me what it's like to get to where I'm going. And then my current coach, Creed, and then Steven Vander's one, who's our team owner. You know, those guys have given me a home in the past 3 years and the opportunities to do all this. And then, you know, national team guys, Sayers, Billy Ennis, Joe Holmes, Barney King, all those guys have played a huge role in my development. So,
any other final thoughts or anything you want to let people know about you? Where can people find you or follow you?
I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Okay. We'll throw those
Michael
those
Hernandez,
socials up.
Yeah,
So for
Big
the
Mig
listeners.
on Twitter.
Okay.
And then Michael Hernandez and Michael Hernandez on Facebook. So
Fair enough. Well, hey, we want to thank Michael Hernandez for taking out the time. Wish you the best of luck on your upcoming season, your career in cycling and beyond, educational and life.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Oh, it was easy.
Yeah. This is KSquared Cycling. Be Khoi, be